Good morning from Tucson, Arizona. Yesterday I went out and fired some pottery, and today I'm going to share that video with you. Now this is one of the results of that firing. I was testing different clay slips that I'd collected from all over the Southwest in the last few months. This is a good example of how clays can change in a firing. So for example, this one went in yellow and came out brown. This one went in red and came out red. The other thing I was looking at in these clay slips is how well they hold organic paint. Organic paint is made out of boiled down plant material. And you can see that some of these clays are excellent at turning that boiled down plant material, that organic paint, into black designs. And other clays do not do it at all. It just turns to ash and wipes away. So I hope you enjoy this pottery firing. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So I'm just setting the cover sherds around the pot here. I'm using some what you call kiln furniture, which is just bits of sandstone to kind of prop it up so we keep air circulation. And these are just pre-fired slabs of pottery, slightly curved like a plate that I use just to protect the pots from the fuel during the firing. The one on the left is actually a test pookie with some different slips and paints on the inside. You'll see when the firing's over. I can use that as a cover sherd the same because I don't mind if it gets fire clouds or carbon marks on the outside from the fuel. Now I'm going to get some sand and I'm going to use that to cover up the coals that are exposed outside of the cover sherds there. And that is because I'm going to pile some light, easily flammable fuels like grass and sticks on top. And I don't want that to ignite until I'm ready for it to ignite. So I make sure that there's no coals exposed, and that way they don't light it before I'm ready. Now I'm just harvesting some grass. I'm going to place that grass over there. That's essentially like your lighter fluid. That's going to help get the fire started when I'm ready. Your tinder. And then on top of my tinder, I need some kindling. And so I'm going to get some small sticks from this seep willow here. A couple of trips with the small sticks before I'm ready to start stacking larger fuel. And now this is my mesquite that I'd already harvested here. I'm just going to start cutting bits and placing it over. I only harvest fuel for this that's no larger than like the thickness of my forearm, and so it's rather thin. The kind of material that a prehistoric person could have broken either with their foot or over their knee, or perhaps with a stone axe. I never use the larger material because I don't think they would have had the ability to cut those into usable lengths. I suppose they could have, but it would have taken a great deal of time. It makes more sense if they were using smaller materials. Now I'm just stacking it, and the key to stacking it here is just trying to be consistent so that there's the same amount of fuel on all sides and the same amount of different sizes of fuel. So I have, the ones that are like the thickness of my thumb evenly distributed throughout the pile, and those that are the thickness of my wrist evenly distributed about the pile, and that way, so that it burns consistently and burns down to coals consistently. Now most of this wood, or a lot of this wood, is driftwood. I came in on that creek that I'm next to here, so it's really dry, and it burns. You'll see when I light it, it burns very fast. And that isn't driftwood is very dry and old, so it'll burn quickly. And it burns to nothing. These coals burned almost just ash before I'm done here, you'll see.
Now what will happen is the smaller materials, the stuff that's probably less than 1.5 inches or 2 inch diameter, that stuff will burn away relatively quickly, and I'll be left with just the framework of the larger, like wrist or arm size bits. And so I need to be aware of that, because that's going to provide holes, gaps in my kiln here as that burns, that let oxygen in. I mean, that's what I want, because I want to do an oxidizing atmosphere. But I also have to make sure that the larger pieces are evenly distributed so that we continue to have abundant heat all the way around. Now those are hot coals that I'm actually placing through the gaps in the wood so that it comes in contact with that grass that's underneath, and those coals are lighting it up pretty quick there. Those are leftover coals from my primary fire. Now at this point, there's not a lot more that I actually do other than just watch it to make sure it doesn't get out of control, or making sure that it burns more evenly. So if there's a hole, for example, that develops in it, like there's an area where there's too much of the smaller fuel and not enough of the large, and there seems to be a gap developing, I will put some more fuel in there. But for the most part, I just let this burn down to coals, and that's the extent of my work in firing. There was a gap right on that left side there. You'll see me adding more fuel to it, and I ended up adding bits several times to that area because there just was a spot I didn't have enough large fuel, and it kept burning away. If I have a gap, then that's someplace where cold air can enter, where the warm air can escape. I just want to keep the coals kind of even around the pottery as it burns down. And now I'm raking the coals away. It's probably been about 15 minutes since I started, and I'm just going to let it cool off quickly. So I pull the coals away so it can start to cool. The temperature had already started to come down before I raked those coals away. And now I'm pulling the cover sherds off. There was quite a bit of time between those two events that you don't see because I cut it out of the video. So I'm trying to let it cool down slowly. So first I rake the coals away, I wait, then I pull the cover sherds off and I wait. And now you can see this test pot. You can see the different slips and paints I have in there and how well they did. Those are organic paints, so that is a organic material painted on there that carbonizes and turns black in the firing. And now I've waited a little longer to cool it down, and I'm going to pull the jar out. And I'm just going to tip it with my shovel and move it. And those will be reds. The dark areas will be reds, but they will oxidize slowly. When they come out of the fire, it's always kind of a chocolate brown color.